Hello, everybody. This is SuperFang99. Before we begin, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell to be notified when I post a new video. It really helps out the channel. With that out of the way, today we're going to be beginning the Forgotten Age. Whew, I'm super excited. This campaign always stresses me out, but also I always have a great time playing it. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the Scarlet Keys run that we had. It was pretty nice. But we're moving on. Forgotten Age re-release happened a few weeks ago at this point, and I'm excited to get right back into it. You'll also notice that my table is slightly different. I actually moved house. I'm also waiting on a larger table to come, but so far this is the setup that I have. I still have the camera over here. Hello. So hopefully that's looking all too good. All right. Well, we're gonna play through the Forgotten Age. Let's go into the jungle. First, however, let us introduce the two investigators that I'm going to be bringing with me into the jungle. We are starting out with Finn Edwards. He is the bootlegger. 1 willpower, 4 intellect, 3 fights, and 4 agility. You may take an additional action during your turn, which can only be used to evade. If y'all have played the Forgotten Age, y'all know why that is really good. His Elder Sign effect is +1 for each exhausted enemy in play. If you succeed by 2 or more, you may discover a clue at your location. It's not bad. It's not bad. It can trigger pretty well. He has 7 health and 7 sanity. His deck building is a little weird. 30 deck size, and he can only take rogue cards 0 to 3. He can take up to 5 survivor and secret cards level 0. But specifically, he can take illicit cards up to level 5. And so we are going right into his deck. We are going to be running Friends in Low Places, which is a new card from the Scarlet Keys. Basically, it's going to allow him to search his deck specifically for illicit cards and draw them out. I'm thinking this is pretty good, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm building my Finn as our main enemy management. So yes, he has evade tools, but I wanted to make sure he also has combat tools. So we're bringing 2 copies of the Mauser and 2 copies of the 18 Derringer. The Mauser I'm hopeful to upgrade into the upgraded Mauser as soon as I can. I'm also taking 2 copies of Dissection Tools, which should be pretty cool. It raises both his foot and his fist, and also helps with his sanity soak, which is pretty cool. And our main ally is going to be Lonnie Ritter. For Lonnie to fix up, I'm going to be bringing some items of clothing, namely 2 copies of trench coats, a copy of leather jacket, and a copy of leather coat. Hopefully that should be enough items for her to fix up and to give us our fist score. I'm also bringing 2 copies of Hatchet Man. Seems like it's pretty good to be able to evade stuff and then deal more damage to it afterwards. I also have 2 copies of Hidden Pocket because we have pieces of clothing that we can attach things to. And so we can get more slots with the hidden pockets. All right, moving on. Here's some economy. So I'll have 2 copies of I'll Take That, 2 copies of Watch This, 2 copies of Emergency Cash, and currently 2 copies of Pickpocketing, which I'm going to hopefully upgrade into the level 2 version. They all give pretty decent economy, and Finn is going to need it. Lastly, we got 2 copies of You Handle This One for those dreaded willpower treacheries. And of course, 2 copies of Quick Thinking as our final skills for the deck. All right, so that is Finn's deck. I'm pretty hopeful. It seems pretty good. If you're wondering, I took this deck from playing board games' Finn deck built around Dirty Fighting. So I'm gonna put in Dirty Fighting when I get experience for that. So we'll see how that goes. All right, next we have Ursula Downs, the Explorer. She has 3 willpower, 4 intellect, 1 combat, and 4 agility. As a reaction, after you move to her location, take an investigate action, limit once per round. Now that is any investigate action. It doesn't say after you move to a location, investigate. It says after you move to a location, take an investigate action, which means that we can play cards and we can activate investigate action abilities that we control. Her Elder Sign is +1. After this test ends, you may move to a connecting location. It is pretty good, albeit it's going to be a little rough in this campaign specifically, but it could be good. Also, 7 health and 7 sanity. Her deck building is fairly standard, secret cards 0 to 5, and then she gets relic cards 0 to 4. I'm not entirely sure how much I'm going to dig into that, so we'll see. Our main ally is going to be Witten Green. She can find tomes and relics for us, and also is good when we control tomes and relics. So the first tome we're going to be using is the new Grim Memoir, which I think would be very good with Ursula, especially using that investigate action with her reaction. And our first relic is we have the Tooth of Esley, a pretty defensive card, and also draws us some cards as well. Of course, we have 2 magnifying glasses because it's such a good card. We have 2 copies of Fieldwork. She's going to be moving pretty often. And we have 2 copies of Map the Area. I think that this card is actually pretty good. And also, it's going to be some tech for the first scenario, and you'll see why. Potentially the second scenario as well. I have 2 copies of these Unearth the Ancients. Honestly, I don't think this card is amazing, but it does represent economy, and if anything, it has 2 book icons on it, so I think that's pretty good. 2 copies of Shortcut, that's a pretty good card for Ursula, especially. 2 copies of Burning the Midnight Oil, it is economy that also can be combined with her move action. And 2 copies of Emergency Cash. Alright, and as always, we got some deductions. We got some true understandings for some clue compression off of treacheries or location activated abilities. We have 2 copies of Eureka to helpfully find those cards as well. 2 copies of Perception, because perceptions are good. And 2 copies of Fine Clothes. If you know why I need this for the first and potentially third scenario, you know why. Oh, there you are, Jake Williams. I'm probably just going to pitch 2 to a test, honestly. Or if I just can't find Witten Green. Okay, well, before we begin, we need to roll our random basic weaknesses. So I will be right back. All right, so I've counted up. We have a total of 34 unique weaknesses that can be selected. Whoa. Whoops. I guess the screen's green. But we're going to choose one for Finn. 1 to 34. Oh, Jesus. I think that's damned. It's the last one. Just to confirm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Skip that one. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Oh, it's the devil. I guess that's fine. Yeah, that's, well, it's a little annoying. All right, now for Ursula, 1 to 33. So from 1 to 33, we have 9, which is, I believe that's the last one here. Self-destructive, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Brilliant. Ursula is not going to be doing a lot of that anyway, so that's pretty good. All right, I'm going to sleeve these up and be right back. All right, and we're back. Let us begin reading the setup for the Forgotten Age campaign. So, there's a quote from H.P. Lovecraft, of course. Let's read some additional rules and clarifications. First, supplies. At certain points through the Forgotten Age campaign, investigators are given the opportunity to choose supplies to bring on their expeditions into the wild. These supplies are recorded in the campaign log under each investigator's supplies section. Supplies are purchased with supply points, which are granted to investigators whenever they are given the opportunity to purchase supplies. Leftover supply points are not recorded and are lost. An investigator's supplies will determine the possible options available during gameplay and throughout the story of this campaign. Each supply has no effect on its own. Some card effects, story options, and resolutions may change or become available depending on the supplies carried by the investigators. Next, we got Vengeance X. Some encounter cards are worth experience points. The text Vengeance X indicates that the card is worth X Vengeance points. Like Victory X, when an encounter card with Vengeance X is overcome by the investigators, it is stored in the victory display until the end of the scenario. However, unlike victory points, Vengeance represents the awareness and animosity of the Father of Serpents, and is generally a good idea to avoid accruing Vengeance points whenever possible. Vengeance points in the victory display have no impact upon the game unless specifically referenced by another encounter card. As an enemy with Vengeance X is defeated, place the card in the victory display instead of in the discard pile. At the end of a scenario, take each location with Vengeance X that is in play, revealed, and has no clues on it, and place it in the victory display. As a treachery with Vengeance X completes its resolution, place it in the victory display instead of in its discard pile. cards worth Vengeance points are not also worth Victory points, unless the card has both Victory and Vengeance X. Alright, and lastly, the big one of this campaign, Explore. Some abilities in this campaign are identified with an Explore action designator. Such abilities are generally used to find new locations to put into play and are initiated using the Activate action. Explore abilities instruct you to draw the top card of the Exploration deck, which is a separate deck that is constructed during the setup of some scenarios. This deck consists of several single-sided locations and treachery cards. Each Explore ability indicates a particular type of location that you are seeking to draw. If a location of that type is drawn, it is put into play and you move to that location. This is considered a successful exploration. If any other location is drawn, place it next to the Exploration deck and draw the next card from the Exploration deck. Repeat this process until a location of the indicated type is drawn or a treachery is drawn. After this action has ended, shuffle each location next to the Exploration deck back into the Exploration deck. If a treachery card is drawn, it is resolved as normal. If it is discarded, place it in the encounter discard pile as you would normally. There is no discard pile for the Exploration deck. This is considered an unsuccessful exploration. As a single-sided location is put into play from the Exploration deck, place clues on that location equal to its clue value. And this is actually the first time where we've seen alert, but we know what that means. Basically, when we fail to evade an enemy with alert, it will attack us. I believe even if that enemy is exhausted. So, tricky. Alrighty, so we've chosen our investigators. We've assembled our decks. We're going to be playing on standard difficulty, which means we have a +1, 3 zeros, a -1, 2 -2s, a -3, a -5, 2 skulls, an Elder Thing, the Auto Fail, and the Elder Sign, which is a pretty wonky setup, if I'm going to be honest. Normally, we have only 2 zeros, and we have 2 -1s, potentially, maybe 3 -1s, actually. And also, we normally don't start the first scenario with a -5. This is the first one to do that, which does explain some of the spookiness associated with this campaign. All right, and we are now ready to begin at the prologue. Prologue. Tuesday, June 2nd, 1925. There will be no rest for us this summer, it seems. Today I met with Harlan Ernstone, a historical theorist at Miskatonic University and an old friend of mine. He'd said he had a job offer for me, but frankly, I didn't know what to expect. Harlan introduced me to an associate of his, Alejandro Vela, a distinguished historian from across the southern border. Mr. Vela is a graduate of prestigious university in Mexico City and has spent many years researching the Aztec Empire. He claims that he has found evidence regarding the existence of an unheard-of Aztec city-state called Esli. His strange and unprecedented findings were not accepted by the university, and he's become a pariah among his peers. Alejandro came to Arkham to seek funding for an expedition into the rainforests of southern Mexico, where he believes that the ruins of the Esli Altepetl lie undiscovered. His description of this city-state's origins defies modern understanding of Mesoamerican history. Despite this, or knowing my old friend because of this, Harlan is enthralled by Alejandro's discoveries. Miskatonic University has agreed to fund the expedition, albeit meagerly, and Harlan wants me to go along. The way I see it, there's a good chance we're looking for something that doesn't even exist. But if there's even a slight chance of these Esli people existing, their historical significance would be profound. We debated the issue for some time, but in the end, we'd accepted Alejandro's offer. Preparations are underway, and we should be setting off by the end of the month. With any luck, we'll have this journal filled with all manner of interesting discoveries. If not, perhaps it'll be a nice wedge to place between Harlan's lopsided desk. If Ursula Downs, Leo Anderson, or Monterey Jack was chosen as an investigator for this campaign, choose one of those investigators to be the expedition leader. That investigator begins scenarios 1 and 2 as the lead investigator. Well, we do have Ursula Downs, so she will be our lead. Fun trivia fact, by the time this Forgotten Age campaign came out, Monterey Jack had not been released as an investigator in the Arkham Horror LCG. However, they did put that because they knew that he would eventually get released because he is like a legacy character at this point. So I just find that hilarious that they thought that far ahead. I mean, of course, because Monterey Jack is just a pawn on Indiana Jones anyway, so of course they would. As an outcast from academia, funding for Alejandra's expedition is limited. Each investigator must choose supplies to bring for the expedition. In the campaign log under each investigator's supplies section, record the supplies that that investigator chose to bring. Note, provisions and medicine can each be taken more than once, but recording the same blah 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 whatever. So we each get seven supply points to spend because there are 2 investigators. And I'm going to read through these. I've already made my choices, but I'll read through the available supplies. We can take a provisions for 1 supply point each. We can take medicine for 2 supply points each. We can take rope for 3, blanket for 2, canteen for 2, torches for 3, compass for 2, map for 3, binoculars for 2, chalk for 2, and pendant for 1. So as I've said, I've already made my choices. Jesus. So for Finn on the left here, we're going to take a medicine, a blanket, a compass, and a provisions. That's a total of 2, 2, 2, and 1. For Ursula, we're going to take torches, blanket, and binoculars. You'll see I've taken blanket on both sides. I am being a little scaredy pants on this run, but I'm hoping that it should be fine. We have 1 medicine over with Finn in case you get poisoned, blah, blah, blah. And the torches are going to come in handy for later. All right. Well, with that, we are ready to proceed to the first scenario, the Untamed Wilds, which will be up imminently right after this. If you like this video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell to be notified when I post a new video. It really helps out the channel. This has been SuperFang99, signing off.